Hi dear students, this is the last part of the fourth module of the subject ME 206 Fluid Machinery. In the last presentation we were discussing about the hydraulic systems. So next hydraulic system is jet pump. You can see the figure in the right side. Jet pump are devices capable of handling and transporting all forms of the fluids including gas, steam or liquid. Jet pump is used when the suction limit of the centrifugal pump exceeds the permissible limit. So actually jet pump is the modification of the, we can say it as a modification of the centrifugal pump. From the basics of the centrifugal pump, we already know that there is a suction limit for the centrifugal pump. The maximum suction head available for this centrifugal pump is 10.3 meter of water. But if the losses and other frictional losses and other losses are considered, in the practical sense, it won't come to the 10.3 meter of water, so it will be always less than that one. The practical value is around 7.5 meter of water. So if the suction head is more than 7.5 meter of water, usually the centrifugal pump will not suck the water from the sump. So in that case, we will go for the jet pump. Jet pump is used when the suction limit of the centrifugal pump exceeds the permissible limit. So if we want to increase the suction head, then we will go for the centrifugal. A part used for a venturi nozzle venturi arrangement, you can see at the middle of this portion, that is being used to increase the suctional head. So we will in the working we will be seeing how the suction head is being increased. Jet pumps are centrifugal pumps with an ejector venturi nozzle arrangement at the discharge outlet. You can see this is the suction side of the jet pump. It is similar to the same as that of the centrifugal pump, and also the delivery side is also same as that of the centrifugal pump. An external motor or prime mover is there to rotate the impellers. So once the impeller is rotated, the water within the casing will be getting rotated due to the centrifugal effect. The pressurization will happen and the water is discharged through the delivery side. But in the case of the centrifugal pump, as I already told, there is a suctional head limit. So in order to improve the suctional head limit, we will be using an arrangement called ejector. Actually ejector is a venturi and nozzle arrangement, as you can see from the figure. This part is the ejector part. Now you can see for the venturi nozzle arrangement, there will be initially there will be increasing cross section area and gradually decreases, and the minimum cross section area will be there at the throat side. Then again the cross section area of flow increases. So as the water flows through this decreasing and again increasing cross section area, what happens is at the minimum cross section area, or if the area of cross section of the flow decreases, the flow velocity increases. Correspondingly there will be a decrease in the pressure. As we know, the energy remains constant. So if the kinetic energy is increased, means the pressure energy is getting reduced. So at the minimum throat area, the pressure will be minimum, or vacuum pressure is created here. So up to the suctional limit, what I mean is up to 7.5 meter, if it is the limit, the water will be rising through the suction pipe. The remaining length, there needs a pushing force. That pushing force is provided by the vacuum created at the throat area of the nozzle. So some part of the water flowing from the discharge side is allowed to pass through the venturi, and once the water flowing reaches the minimum cross sectional area, the pressure at this point will be minimum, that means vacuum. So due to this low pressure at this point, the water is sucked through the suction pipe. So the suction limit is increased. So that is what is happening in a jet pump. So jet pump is actually a centrifugal pump. Along with that, a removable ejector part is also fitted. That's all, in the close to the delivery side. So that type of pumps are known as the jet pump. So working is similar to the centrifugal pump itself. Function is based on the venturi effect of Bernoulli's principle, which utilizes the reduction area at the throat, reduces the pressure, and is used for the suction. So while the water is passing through the venturi meter, what happens is at the minimum cross sectional area, the pressure is reduced. That reduced pressure or vacuum is utilized for the suction. It consists of three sections. One is the centrifugal pump. Next one is jet ejector, that is the extra part fitted along with the centrifugal pump, and the last one is footwall. These are the three parts. So footwall, of course, is used to separate the sediments from the whatever impurities entering into the pump. So that will be blocked by the footwall. One-way valve actually it is. And centrifugal pump working already we will be knowing. So this part is the extra one fitted along with the jet pump. After the pump is primed, water is pumped through a standard centrifugal pump. The working is similar to the centrifugal pump. At the throat of the converging section of the ejector, the pressurized fluid is ejected at high velocity. This creates a low pressure vacuum at the throat, drawing the target fluid from the well into the nozzle. When the fluid gets into the mixing tube with flow area increases, reversing the energy transmission, reducing the speed and increasing the pressure. So once the water here, once at the throat area pressure is reduced, means the water will be flowing through the suction pipe. Once it reaches to the, once it passes after the throat, what happens, the area is again increased. So the reverse energy transformation takes place, that is pressure is increased, that reduced pressure is again increased, and pressurized fluid is actually entering into the blades of the impeller, and the rest thereafter the working is same as that of the centrifugal pump. When the fluid reducing speed is increasing the pressure, this allows the reservoir fluid to be lifted to the surface through the annular space. So through the delivery side, the water is being pumped to the delivery side. So that is all about the working of the jet pump. Next important one is lobe pump. You can see from the figure, this is the lobe pump. Two mesh gear type annular rotating part is meshed together. So you can see here, this is the center of the one jib, and this is the center of the another jib. Usually this rotating part is called the jib, and this is the two shaft will be there. One shaft will be usually provided with a prime mover, so motor will be connected. So based on the rotation of the motor, this jib will be rotating. So always one part each will be in meshed position. There won't be any gap between these two, or in every time at least one part will be in contact with the other one. Lobe pumps are positive displacement pump, and lobe pump utilizes intermeshing helical lobes mounted on a parallel shafts. The shafts are rotated by gears. So some helical lobes are mounted on the parallel shafts. Actually shafts are parallel to this one, so two shafts will be there. Two helical lobes are mounted on the shafts, and one shaft is rotated with the help of the gears. So some prime mover will be there. As the lobes unmesh on the intake side, this is the intake side and this is the discharge side. As the, you can see, this lobe will be rotating anti-clockwise direction, and this lobe will be rotating in the clockwise direction, since it is connected by gears. So this will be rotating in this direction, and this one will be rotating in this direction. So what happens is, while rotating, once these 2 points here at this point, these two will unmesh. Unmesh means the contact between these two will lost at this point. So once it is rotating in this direction, you can see some cavities created here. In this cavity, the fluid is being trapped. Usually these types of pumps are used to pump very high viscosity fluids like mud, oil, etc. So that highly viscous fluid will be trapped in this region. So actually this lobe is, once the fluid is trapped in this region, means there will be a cavity generated. The fluid can't flow to anywhere, it is actually trapped within this region. The boundaries are either this one, the casing, and the surface of the lobe, that are the boundaries. So within this region the fluid is trapped. So once it rotates in this direction, that trapped fluid is carried along with this, and it is discharged to the delivery side. It can't backflow because there is no gap between these meshed parts. So there is no gap, so backflow of the fluid will not be there. So continuously water is trapped in this region, and it is carried to the discharge side. So what happens is, once it reaches to the discharge side, the fluid is pushed through the discharge chamber, where continuously the fluid is getting stored. That means pressure is being increased. So there is no compression while the lobes are rotating in this type of pumps, but due to the more quantity of water stored in the container or the discharge chamber, what happens is pressure is increasing. So pressurization will not take place while the fluid is carried along with this region, or within this space pressurization is not actually happening. So pressurization is actually happening in the discharge chamber. More and more fluid is stored, means the density increases or the pressure is increased. So that is what is happening. Through this side also the same thing is happening. Water will be trapped in this region, and water is discharged or delivered to the discharge side through this area. So from both sides the trapped water is being discharged to the other side. As the lobes begin to mesh on the discharge side, the lobes forces the sludge or slurry through the outlet port under pressure. The discharge can be changed by varying the speed of the pump. If you want to increase the discharge of the fluid, then what we will do is, we will usually go for higher speed for the motor, that means per second more fluid is being pumped. So actually pressurization will not be there while the trapped fluid is carried along with this area. So pressurization actually takes place at the discharge side. That is the main difference between lobe pump and the vane pump, which we have to discuss in the next session. So this is all about the working. Just water is trapped in this region and it is carried to the other side. That's all. Nothing else is happening. And also one more thing we have to make sure is there should not be any backflow. So perfect sealing between these two should be there. There should not be any gap between these two meshing parts, and also there should not be any gap between the meshing part and the casing. So that we have to ensure. The next one is vane pump. This is similar to the lobe pump. There it was meshing gears type lobes was there, but here instead of that vanes are there. You can see some vertical vanes. These are all vanes. Sorry. From the figure you can see these are all vane pumps. And one more thing you have to notice is the center of this rotor. This is actually the rotor on which the vanes are fitted, and the center of the rotor is eccentric to the center of the casing of the pump. You can see there is a slight eccentricity shift is there. So and also one more thing you have to remember is on this radial disc the vanes are fitted, and at the bottom portion of the vane it is actually spring loaded, so its lengthways or radial ways its length can be adjusted based on the contact with the casing. So if the area this length is if the length between these two is less, means this vane can move downward, or always a radial centrifugal force is acting on the vanes. Its length can increase or decrease based on the space available. So as the rotor is connected to a prime mover, the rotor which carries the vanes are connected to the prime mover. As the rotor rotates, the continuous rotation of the vanes will be there. So in the inlet side, the water will be in contact with, you can see some area being left out by the two vanes. The water is being trapped, or fluid is being trapped in between these two area. So it is gradually carried once the prime mover rotates from left to right or in the clockwise direction. As the rotor rotates in the clockwise direction, the water or fluid, whatever it may be, it is trapped within this area or the volume created by the two consecutive vanes. So as it moves from left to right, what happens is you can see the length of the vanes are getting reduced due to the flow area is getting reduced. The space between these is reduced. Here you can have vanes will have more area, more length is there, but here the length of the vane is moving towards this side. The length of the vanes are getting reduced. That means the volume is not fixed. Here the volume is more, here volume is slightly less, again slightly less. So continuous decrease in the volume is there from the vane from the suction side to the outlet side or delivery side. So there will be a reduction in the volume, means compression is taking place. So while the rotor rotates, the continuous pressurization is also taking place. Unlike the lobe pump. In the lobe pump, while the rotor rotates, there is no pressurization within that cavity, but here the cavity volume of the cavity is also getting reduced. That means the pressurization is taking place during the rotation also. So the pressurized fluid is delivered through the discharge. So that is the basic working of the vane pump. You can the things to be remembered are, it is having a rotary rotor is there, a rotating part is there. Along with that rotating part, vanes are fitted. And vanes are fitted in such a way that at the bottom portion it is having some spring arrangement, so the length can be adjusted. So always it is made sure that the far end tip, this point of the vanes are always in contact with the casing, so it is perfectly sealed. So always due to the centrifugal force it is pushed in contact with the casing. Never, this contact is never lost in between the flow. So some cavities are created, whatever fluid is trapped in this cavity is taken to the other side. The rotor is slotted and each slot is fitted with a rectangular vane. These vanes to some extent are free to move outward in their respective slots. See, the vanes are free to move outward. The rotor and vanes are enclosed in the housing, and inner surface of which is offset with the drive axis. So this is how the vane pumps are working. As the rotor turns, centrifugal force keeps the vanes snug against the wall of the housing. So as the rotor rotates, the centrifugal force provided by the spring is keeping vanes to touch always in contact with the walls of the housing or the casing. The vanes divide the area between the rotor and housing into series of chambers. The inlet port is located in the part of the pump where the chambers are expanding in size so that the partial vacuum formed by the expansion allows liquid flow into the pump. The chambers contact in size on the outlet side and this action forces the liquid through the outlet port and into the system. So this is all about the working of the vane pump. And the detailed notes are provided in Moodle. You can go through the notes and go through all these systems, and these are very important. Any one system can be, you can expect any one system from this for the university question. So please go through the notes provided in the Moodle regarding this topic.